Today we're going to do a full mock EOG review to get you ready for Tuesday's math mock EOG. But first, let's start with a do now. Solve both of these problems and then we'll go over them. So for number 1, we're looking for the volume of a triangular prism. So remember, this is not the same as earlier in the week when we did surface area. To find the volume of a triangular prism, we do base times height divided by 2. That gives us the area of the triangle, but then we need to multiply it by the 3D height. What makes this triangle become 3D? What makes it have a height or a depth? So I'm going to plug in my numbers. The base is 4 times my height is 3. Remember, they form that right angle divided by 2. And the tricky one is our second height. The height is the height of the whole figure. It's the number in the line that connects the two triangles, which in this case is 8. 8 connects the front triangle to the back triangle. It makes that triangle become 3D. So I need to multiply that by 8. In my parentheses first, 4 times 3 is 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. And 6 times 8 is 48 inches cubed. Remember, volume is now measured in cubic units. Okay, looking at number 2, solving a two-step equation. No matter what side my x is on, I still need to get rid of my constant, which is the positive 7. So I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. On the right side, I'm left with 3x. On the left side, negative 5 and a negative 7 gives me a negative 12. They're really same sign, so I add and keep. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 3, since that's the number with my variable. My 3's canceled out. I'm left with x, and a negative divided by a positive is always negative, so x equals negative 4. So here are some quick reminders about the gridded response questions on the mock EOG and the real EOG. You can only write one digit or symbol in each box and bubble in the corresponding circle or the matching circle underneath. If an answer is a mixed number, it must be changed to an improper fractions. No mixed numbers can be put into the grid. Fractions that are not simplified can be entered. So if you get an answer of 2/4, you can write 2/4 in the grid, but you can also write 1/2 or 0.5. All three answers are acceptable. You cannot put spaces within your answer in the grid. And don't use any symbols such as commas, money signs, or our degree symbol. So let's first take a look at this example. I need to convert this mixed number into an improper fraction before I can grid it in. So 5 times 2 is 10, plus 3 is 13, but it's a negative. So it's negative 13 over 5. So into the grid, I'm going to put negative 13 slash for my fraction 5. So I color in, I bubble in the negative, the 1, 3, slash 5, and there's my answer. Now practice putting this number into the grid, negative 2,153. Take 20 seconds and write this number in your grid. All right, let's check this over. So you should have put the negative in the first box, 2, 1, 5, 3. Again, we don't put anything like commas into this problem or into the grid, and we don't leave a space. So then it should be negative 2, 1, 5, and 3. Now practice putting 20.5 degrees into the grid. Take 20 seconds, complete this now. Okay, so in your grid, the first box should be 2, second 0, decimal 5. Remember, we don't do anything with this degree symbol in our grid. So then I'll color in the 2, the 0, the decimal, and the 5. And the last practice is 7 1/3. Take 20 seconds and put this in your grid now. All right, so before I can put this in the grid, I need to change it to an improper fraction. So 3 times 7 is 21. 21 plus 1 is 22. So my mixed number, or my improper fraction, is 22 over 3. So I would put 2, 2, slash 3. Color in 2, 2, slash for my fraction bar, and 3. Hopefully this refreshed your memory on your gridded response, and remember all these reminders on Tuesday. Now we're going to do a quick formula facts review. Take about 1 minute, write down the formulas or the key facts for these items. All right, check them over. Complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. Supplementary angles add up to 180 degrees. Vertical angles are equal. And just as a reminder, your vertical angles look like this. These two are vertical. Supplementary angles are on a straight line, and complementary angles are this 90 degrees. Area of a rectangle, length times width. Area of a triangle, base times height divided by 2. Area of a circle, pi r squared. Circumference of a circle, 2 pi r. Volume of a rectangular prism, length times width times height. Volume of a triangular prism we just did, base times height divided by 2 times height, the 3D height. And constant of proportionality is y over x. All right, so now let's get into a little mock EOG review. Take 2 to 3 minutes, solve this problem on your own, and then we'll review. All right, so here we have a percent problem. I see that Roy bought a new pair of shoes for $52.50 and 2 shirts, that's going to be big, for $25 each. He received a 20% off. What was his total before tax? So before I can do anything, I need to first figure out how much did he actually buy between the shoes and the 2 shirts. So he paid $52 for the shoes. He paid $25 for a shirt, but he bought 2 of them. So I need to add 2 25s. So he spent a total of $102.50 before his discount. My second thing I need to do is calculate the discount. How much does he get to take off? So percents, I can always use a proportion. 20 over 100 equals x because I don't know the discount over his total that he bought, 102.50. I cross multiply. 100x equals 2,050. Divide both sides by 100, and I get x equals $20.50. This is not his total, this is his discount. So then what we do with a discount is subtract. I don't have to pay $20.50. So 102.50 minus his discount of 20.50. So he spent a total of $82 before tax. Great job if you remembered how to do this, and as always, correct any mistakes before moving on to the next problem. Now for a little inequality review. Solve for x, and then we'll review. So for inequalities, I first want to get x by itself. I need to get rid of this 26. The 26 itself is positive, which means I need to subtract 26 on both sides. When the 26 cancels out, I see that I'm left with a negative x. So negative x is greater than or equal to 11 minus 26 is negative 15. Now I never want a negative variable. Remember, I can really put a 1 in front of this. This is like a negative 1x. So to get rid of the negative 1, I need to divide by negative 1. My negative 1 cancels out and I'm left with x. A negative divided by a negative is a positive, so positive 15. However, since I divided by a negative, remember to flip your symbol. So x can be any number as long as it's less than or equal to 15. And as a review, if I were to graph this, I would put my circle around 15. I would color it in because it could be equal to 15, and since it's less than, I draw my arrow to the left. For this problem, try really hard not to use a calculator. You will see a problem like this on the calculator inactive part of the mock EOG next week. So practice doing it by hand now. Alright, so I know that 24 people attended the birthday party. 2/3, I'm going to go ahead and write that right now as a fraction, of the guests brought a snack. 1/4 brought a drink, and the rest brought dessert. I'm looking for how many people brought the dessert. So this goes back a while, but when we have a fraction of a total, and the total guess is 24, I can multiply. So for the snack, it's 2/3 of the total guess, which is 24. Multiply straight across. 2 times 24 is 48. 48 divided by 3 is 16. So 16 people brought a snack. Now I'm looking for how many people brought a drink. 1/4 of the guests, which is still 24 total, over 1, multiply straight across, I get 24 over 4, I add that and I get 6. The rest brought a dessert. The rest of something signals me to subtract. So I have a total of 24 people. Take away the 16 that brought a snack. Take away the 6 people that brought a drink, and the rest, or the leftover people, brought dessert, which is 2. Solve this word problem by picking out key words, and then we'll go over it. All right, so if we remember these problems, we can use an equation to figure out how old Al is. I know his father is 45. Maurice, who's 45, is 7 years younger. Younger is going to signal me, I think, to subtract. Than twice Al's age. Twice is going to signal me to multiply something by 2. The question is asking for how old is Al. I'm not comparing anything here, so I'm not going to use a proportion. I'm going to identify my variable. I want to know Al's age. Well, I know the total amount here is that Maurice is 45, so I'm going to set my equation equal to 45. I know that 45, Maurice is 7 years younger, so I'm going to be subtracting 7 from something. And he's 7 years younger, so we're going to minus 7 from twice Al's age. Since twice means times 2, I need to multiply 2 times Al's age, which I don't know, so it's x. So 2x, twice Al's age, minus 7, because he's 7 years younger, equals Maurice's age of 45. Solve my two-step equation. Add 7 to both sides. I get 2x equals 52. Divide both sides by 2, and Al is 26 years old. Great job if you remembered how to do those. Hopefully now we've refreshed your memory that we use an equation to solve these. Now let's try another percent problem. Solve this one now. All right, so we see that Derek went out to eat last night. We know the total bill. We see sales tax. Sales tax is going to mean I'm going to have to add something. He left a 15% tip. Tip also means to add something, more money to the bill. I want to know how much he spent in all. So 2%, I'm going to need 2 proportions. Remember, when we go out to eat, sales tax comes before tip. So I'm going to set up my tax proportion. 7 over 100 equals x over my total of 1465. Cross multiply. 100x equals 102.55. I'm going to divide both sides by 100, and I get x equals $1, and in your calculator it would show 0.0255. With money though, I want to stop after that second digit after the decimal, but looking for rounding, this 5 is going to make this 2 bump up to $1.03. So we already said that we have to add tax to the total. So my total was $14.65. I need to add on $1.03 for tax, and I get $15.68. That is now the total. However, now he leaves a tip. So our tip is 15%, so 15 over 100 equals x over the total with the tax. I cross multiply and get 100x and get 235.2. I'm going to divide both sides by 100 and get x equals $2.35 for my tip. Last step is to add the $15.38, what my total was with tax, plus the tip of $2.35, and I get a final total of $17.73 that he spent in all last night. Again, as a rule of thumb, usually when you have 2%, that means you're going to have 2 proportions and probably a step in between. So we had to add for tax and add for tip. If it was a discount, we would have subtracted. So this is our last problem to review for today, going back into geometry to scale drawings. Solve this problem now. All right, so my key word here is scale. Automatically, when you see scale, the ratio that should pop into your head is model over actual, because a scale compares some sort of model, like a drawing, to what it is in actual real life. The scale that they give me is 1.5 inch equals 8.5 feet. So automatically, I'm going to put 1.5 over 8.5. That's a first ratio. They give us that Maria's dollhouse sofa is 3 inches long, so my 3 is going to go on the top since that's the dollhouse, which is the model, and I'm looking for the actual sofa. From here, I'm going to cross multiply. 1.5 times x is 1.5x. 8.5 times 3 is 25.5, or 25.5. I'm going to divide both sides by 1.5, and I get x equals 17, or 17 feet is the length of Maria's dollhouse. Hopefully this helps refresh your memory on a lot of different topics. Be prepared for Tuesday. Maybe study a little bit over the weekend. And good luck.